Welcome to the Perfect Place to Put a Practice podcast by Scott McDonald and DrDemographics.com, the best source of demographic, psychographic, and marketing information for professionals.
Hello, this is Scott McDonald, and welcome to the Perfect Place to Put a Practice video podcast by DrDemographics.com. Now, I always know that I have an interesting topic for this week when I consider just how many people are going to hate me for posting it. Now, last week I talked about the 20 best places to consider opening a startup practice. And before that, I discussed the 10 places that have the kiss of death for startups. Now, while I didn't get a ton of hate mail, it is true, I'm such a nice person, there's always a small number of dentists who are a little bothered by how specific I can be about practice sites. After all, evaluating and recommending sites is what we do, and I want to keep our viewers and listeners well informed. Now, our live broadcast webinar on Tuesdays at noon Eastern even stoked the fires as I discuss trends influencing where to practice. Now, by the way, if you would like to get to register for our discussion, and yes, it is free of charge, write to me at info@DrDemographics.com. I will send you the link, if you register, on the past discussions that we've had, and I have to admit, they're pretty darn interesting, even if I do say so myself, and we handle a different state every month. Mike Green has been extremely helpful. Now, next week we are discussing how the cost of living is influencing the best places and the worst places to practice, and we're also going to discuss the state of Arizona. This week I want to address our topic that wonderful clients have been bringing up increasingly: multiple office locations. Now, by way of a quick background, I have several clients who are looking to set up dental office networks. I've been doing this for about 30 years. Choosing sites for multiple office locations is frankly tricky. You see, you want to find locations that will not cannibalize the patient base of one office in favor of another, yet are not so far apart that it's going to be difficult to administer them. As a quick aside, there is not a formula that is universally accepted regarding what the ideal distance between offices will be. Personally, I tend to favor drive time rates. Now, rather, the key issues include the direction of travel for patient bases regarding commutes and shopping patterns, the time of day isochronic patterns, which means the amount of traffic that happens during business hours, and also the wind of interest, the natural tendency of people to travel in one direction or another. And also we talk about population density, shared media markets, and, well, a lot more. Now, this may sound technical. It is. Keep in mind that these are issues that relate to how far apart offices should be and are just one calculation in determining site viability. And we are not even touching upon competition and demographic character as we think about this. But believe me, they need to be talked about. I bring this up because I have been getting in many discussions with dentists who have come to believe that the best location for a practice site for a multi-location office should be considered only upon the basis of the viability of each individual site. Not true. You see, they tend to ignore the fact that the relationship of the locations will have an important bearing upon the other sites. Now, as an example, there is a huge benefit to creating a shared practice brand or an image for the offices. It will be very helpful in getting the benefits of such a practice really to be felt. One of the obvious benefits comes in the cost savings of the advertising and promotion that the locations have under a common banner in the same media market. The benefits of going to one office in the company or the network will accrue to all of the offices. In other words, a virtue felt in one place is felt elsewhere. As importantly, the medium to promoting multiple locations becomes more cost effective with the addition of each new office. Now, as an example, let's consider radio. This is an extremely inexpensive broadcast medium when we consider the message exposure per individual. That potential is really helpful in a region. Now, the trouble is that single practice sites do not serve most radio footprints. This is the area that a radio program covers effectively, where it can be heard. They're serving only a segment of the geographic area, a small part. Therefore, it is not particularly cost effective to use radio. There are also benefits of scale with other media like direct mail, print advertising, and even social media. And this is the best thing about multiple office sites. The downside, however, can be pretty darn big. Now, back in the dark ages of dental regulation, no dentist was allowed to have more than 2 offices. Go ahead, ask your father. It was mandated that their time had to be split, at least theoretically, between 2 office sites at most. It was a great theory, but the enforcement of these regulations was frankly unsustainable. Now, I always imagine someone bursting into the office, guns drawn, demanding where the dentist was. Now, today these requirements have been largely rescinded in most states, but not in all. In most cases, however, without state regulations, you should be free to have as many offices as you want, right? Well, not really. You see, you only have just so much time in the day, and increasing the number of offices makes things far more complex as an administrator and as an owner. More offices means more overhead. It can mean more staff. It can mean more investment in equipment. Now, it may seem silly to you now, but before dental practice networking was developed, many practices had to pick up their computer physically and take it to the other office. At least that's not a thing that we have to worry about anymore, right? But additionally, offices still add more complexity and demands on administration. So when I have a dentist who says, I really want to have 5 dental offices, they're not really thinking about how difficult it can be to be a dentist in 5 locations. They're really changing their role from dentist and clinician to administrator and CEO. Now, I'm sure that you already realize that as the practice owner of a multi-office network, you're likely going to have little time to do clinical wet-finger dentistry. Can't do it anymore. It is time to put your green eye shades on and enter the role of businessman. You're a full-time marketer and entrepreneur. You're going to have to supervise bookkeeping and accountants. Now, while you may not be a one-man human resource department, you are at least supervising in that role. Sure, I have seen this transition occur successfully in many cases. I just want to remind dentists that unless they have a master's degree in business administration, it just isn't going to be so easy as it may look. Now, here's the point. Very few dentists have the interest or the skill set to be the businessman that they will need to be when you have multiple offices. If you think that staff can be difficult to supervise, just wait until you've got 5 full-time dentists to watch over. Now, granted, some will be partners rather than outright employees, but that really doesn't simplify matters as much as you might think. Trust me, this case happens very often. If you think herding cats is going to be difficult, it's a piece of cake compared to herding dentists. They're intelligent, independent, and they resist following rules that they consider arbitrary. The traditional corporate model of dental practice, by the way, usually has a remarkably high turnover rate. One such network that used my services had a turnover rate in 1 year of more than 110% for its dentists. It's interesting to note that when the dental industry is stressed, lots of associates flock to these offices. But when the economy loosens up, they're looking for the exits pretty quickly, and therefore finding new talent, training, and supervising them is quite a task. And in case you have the idea that with more women working in the profession, that it's all going to be a lot easier to manage because they don't want to own practices, right? Think again. These female professionals are just as aggressive, intelligent, independent, and sometimes as mercurial as their male counterparts. In my opinion, it is the very nature of the people drawn to the dental profession that makes them a challenge. Not their age, not their gender, not their success rate. So before you decide to go the route of a large multi-office dental practice, please take a good look in the mirror to see if the professional that's staring back at you is one who really wants to enter this role of administrator and to leave the world of the clinical. This is Scott McDonald. Thanks so much for watching, and catch us at DrDemographics.com.